Thank you for joining us. Let's go back to Kumasi at the Great Hall, where there is a public discussion on International Women's Day, breaking the bias.
Forge ahead. Today we are going to be live on GTV, on Multi TV, City TV, and Net2 television. Of course, we'll also be live on social media handles. You can check on R. Akufo-Addo on Facebook and on Instagram. Nan Akufo-Addo on Facebook and Instagram. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology on Facebook. knust.gh on Instagram and on Snapchat.
Our very own Dr. Kwadwo Agri knew the importance of empowering women when he proclaimed that if you educate or empower a woman, one empowers a nation. It is refreshing that we are all together here celebrating International Women's Day today, after 2 long years away due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And may I use this opportunity to remind all of us to remember to keep the protocols as have been described. I must say I'm excited to see a lot of young people here today. Indeed, there is hope. The future is filled with hope. And today we're going to engage these young minds in discussing gender bias and how we can act collectively. All of us can work together to break these biases. The program is proudly brought to us by the National Lotteries Authority, the Ghana Free Zones Board, Fidelity Bank, CBG, the Volta River Authority, Golden Tree, and with support from Latex Foam. My name is Regina Bole-Bote, and once again, welcome to this special event. We are so pleased to have you here. So let's start by inviting Reverend Mrs. Irene Nkansa, who's the head of KNUST Basic. She will lead us in prayer. Please, a round of applause for her.
Good morning. Please, with all respects, let us all rise up and pray. Almighty God, maker of heaven and earth, Father of all creations, we thank you for this day which you have made. We thank you for the creation of women to complete the works of your hands. We thank you for the celebration of the International Women's Day. We thank you for the journey mercies granted us, most especially the First Lady and all other people who are present. We bless you for the gathering here at this time and at this great hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We pray, Lord, as we gather in your presence, we will be able to understand ourselves and come out with our God-given potentials as we discuss how biases against women can be broken in our Ghanaian society. Grant us the ability to advocate for persons who have the power to change these biases, Lord. Help our men and women to understand that we can all build a better society if women are restored to their rightful positions and allowed to operate without hindrances and without discrimination. Father, Lord, we pray for all women in leadership roles. We pray for the executive, for the visionary and to be visionary and bold and to take right decisions to impact growth. We pray for the legislature, especially women, to bring their wisdom to bear and for enactment of good laws. Father, we are praying for all other women in leadership, and we are praying for our First Lady. We pray the Lord, you be with him, grant him the spirit of discernment to be able to help and assist our president to work hard and bring our nation to a good place. Father, Lord, we pray for our young people of today, especially the women, with every strength that they need to be able to live to glorify to your name. Father, Lord, as we gather here, we ask us that you see us through this program successfully. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please let's have our seats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Nkansa, for the prayers. And at this juncture, I'm very pleased to be introducing the first female Vice Chancellor for the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, especially on this day, a very special day set aside all over the world to promote the advancement of women and women in leadership. Kindly join me with a round of applause, and indeed, shall we stand in honor to welcome Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon to the podium to give us the welcome address. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Your Excellency, the Second Lady of our dear nation, Mrs. Samira Baumia. Your Royal Highness, Lady Julia, the current and the first female Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you. I think you can do that. You can do that. Thank you very much. Honorable Mrs. Akosia Frema Osei Opari, MP Ayawaso. She's saying I shouldn't add all that. West Wigan constituency. Other ministers present, the regional minister, Shanti region, the Deputy Minister of Finance, Honorable Mrs. Abina Osei Asari, MP Atiwa East. Other deputy ministers herein present. DCs, MMDCs, Nananum, the registrar, provost of colleges, deans, directors, distinguished guests, staff, and students, and indeed all our gallant and great women of substance who we celebrate today, herein present in this great hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and those joining us via the virtual space, our dear friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a real honor and a privilege for me to extend a very, very warm welcome to you on behalf of the governing council of our great university, management, and indeed staff and students on this auspicious occasion of celebrating the International Women's Day on the theme, Breaking the Bias. A very, very special appreciation goes to you, Your Excellency, our dear First Lady, for choosing the Ashanti region, the land of the golden stool, and for that matter, the best university in Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, to host, thank you very much, to host this very, very important event. Madam, we are truly, truly grateful for the honor done us, and we are indeed extremely delighted to have you here. Thank you very much. Just briefly, as we are aware, all around the world, the achievements of women are being celebrated today to mark the International Women's Day, which began in 1911. The day was born, as we are all aware, of the inhumane working conditions and treatment of female garment workers in the US several decades ago. The day offers opportunities to look back on efforts that have been made in the past, learn lessons, and plan to forge ahead in the struggle to attain the ultimate goal of gender parity. It is also to celebrate the efforts of our great women front bearers who started the age-old struggle that has come to stay. Thus, today is an opportunity to showcase women's achievement in the world, and rightly so. As we celebrate and salute all our great women of substance who have sacrificed and continue to sacrifice so much in our homes, communities, societies, countries, and on the globe at large, the day is also used to highlight the work that remains to be done in order to achieve gender parity for ultimate global growth and progress. Let us just take a quick stroll down memory lane and examine how the themes for the International Women's Day celebrations for the past few years have panned out. And I can start from 2018, where we stood on Press for Progress. 2019, we said Balance for Better. 2020, I Am Generation Equality, Realizing Women's Rights. In 2021, even in the midst of the COVID, we found a space to say Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 world. And here we are today with Breaking the Bias. For all these years and many more, there has been a strong call to action to press forward and progress gender parity. By and large, the global message remains very, very simple. All must be done to motivate and unite friends, colleagues, and whole communities to think, act, and be gender intelligent and inclusive in every sphere of our lives, emphasizing the idea that a gender-balanced world benefits everyone, both men and women, both economically and socially. And indeed, it is up to all of us, everyone, men and women alike, to make this happen. The question on the table this year is, are we all ready to imagine a gender-equal world? A world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination? A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive? a world where differences are valued and celebrated, the encouragement is that, yes, indeed, we can. Together, we can work towards the eventual achievement of gender parity and champion women's and girls' rights. Collectively, we can all break the bias. Needless to say that certainly some biases are overt and is often visible for all to see. For example, the George Floyd one. The other one that sometimes eludes us is the covert one, which is unconscious, unintended, implicit, unexamined, that we all inherently are capable of exhibiting to some degree in our day-to-day interactions. And those are the ones that we must look out for. How do these manifest? The individual who acts with bias sees through a distorted lens and engages with an imagined individual, an expectation, not with the real one. These biases can be seen as violence to the soul because it attacks not only a person's circumstances and physical situation, but it particularly attacks a person's sense of worth. It starts from childhood and it goes on and on and on. Family, school, workplace, society, everywhere. Every individual, ladies and gentlemen, has some level of uniqueness that must be appreciated and honored by all. Often it is said that we must not look at what divides us, but what we have in common. Paradoxically, in order to attempt an end to all biases, we ought to dwell on our differences, and respect those differences. Your Excellency, I must say that this is something that everybody's hand is needed on deck to be able to appreciate and to work on. It is not a question of a women's thing. It is a human problem. It is a human problem, and we must all look at it through that lens and do everything we can to ensure that every human being is able to develop to his or her maximum potential. I always say that if the section of society that makes close to 50%, thank you, 50% of the population is not given the opportunity to maximize their potential. What we are basically saying is that I have two hands, but I have decided that I want to tie one behind me and use only one. And I don't think that that is economical enough. And we hope and pray that as we celebrate today, we will all do everything we can to ensure that men, women, girls, boys, everybody, all hands are brought on deck to develop our dear nation, to build our dear country. We should not deny any group of persons this, because it is a God-given opportunity that everyone including women, are given to serve humanity. If we don't do that, it will be our collective loss, not theirs. On that note, Your Excellency, once again, I welcome you and your team, and I welcome all of you to this year's International Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rita Akosua-Dickson. Shall we have another round of applause?
And I must say that as a product of the premier university in the country, University of Ghana, I'm a bit jealous. I mean, you're getting all the accolades. The KNUST is getting all the accolades. I'm just wondering if the chief of staff who's worked in Legon will back me up on a petition to the First Lady so that we have our own International Women's Day tomorrow. So I will give all the accolades of the University of Ghana, all of you here. You hear us. But thank you. A round of applause for Professor Rita Dickson.
Well, as we await that petition, I would like to acknowledge the presence of some dignitaries here. Of course, the Mother of the Nation, Her Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Her Excellency, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Mrs. Samira Baumia. Honorable Akosua Fremont-Sale-Parry, the first female Chief of Staff of Ghana, Lady Julia, wife of Asantehene Nana Osei II, our hostess, Professor Rita Akosua-Dickson. A round of applause for our dignitaries.
Trailblazing, energetic, and able. We can definitely say that our next speaker has inspired so many women and girls through her achievements. And she has shown that women can, and in fact are excelling in politics. Please, let's be upstanding as we welcome to the podium Ghana's first female Chief of Staff, Honorable Fremont-Sale-Parry.
Your Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Your Excellency, the Second Lady, Hajia Samira Baumia. Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Akosua-Dickson. Your Excellency, Lady Julia Osei II, representatives of Asantehene, faculty members, teachers and students of institutions present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it's a great honor to join you as we celebrate the 2022 International Women's Day, aimed at reflecting on breaking biases and inequalities that prevent women from achieving their full potentials. I wish to express my profound gratitude to Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic, for the opportunity granted me to grace this august occasion. I would also like to congratulate Her Excellency and her hard-working team for putting up this important initiative together and mobilizing all of us to join hands in passing on the baton to younger generations like you seated here with us today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, research has shown that women have enormous impact on the well-being of their families and societies, but their potential is sometimes not realized because of discriminatory social norms, incentives, and legal frameworks. Although the status of most women has improved in recent decades, gender biases persist in many parts of our country. It is worthy of note that attaining our rightful place as female gender certainly does not happen automatically. A clarion call for all women to join hands through a renewed energy and to pursue equality together is therefore very timely. Ladies and gentlemen, successive governments in Ghana have mainstreamed various interventions towards gender equality. For instance, education is one of the most important aspects of human development, and eliminating gender disparity at all levels of education will help to increase the status and capabilities of women. According to UNESCO 2020 Gender Report on Ghana, enrollment of girls in senior high school over the years have increased. The free senior high school policy, as introduced by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana, among others, have enhanced equality in education opportunities, which relates to the SDGs that seeks to promote gender equality and empowerment of women. However, there is still great gender disparity in higher levels of education, and for example, in subjects related to science, technology, engineering, mathematics, which we now call STEM. Ladies and gentlemen, bias against women in the workplace and how to tackle it also continue to be a major challenge. In Ghana, the majority of women are engaged in the informal sector of the economy. As such, they have no steady income and no social security. Even though women and girls carry the majority of care and domestic burden in every part of the country, they are less likely to be employed in the formal sector. And where they are employed, they tend to earn lower wages. Biases also in the political space, among others, remain a challenge considering the hostile political atmosphere in Ghana, which deters a lot of females from participating. The worst is that with this kind of hostile political atmosphere, women are less likely to be able to influence government policy. It is time for the younger generation to rise up, taking advantage of the favorable education policies and other programs of the Akufo-Addo government to advance themselves for higher level jobs. The global digitalization drive, which is vigorously being pursued by the government, allows for equal gender representation in access to information. And I hope we use this opportunity to access quality information that can advance our lives. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I can never end without celebrating the efforts of some great women who have stood toe to toe with men and have engaged victorious in their various fields of endeavor. It is refreshing, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to meet Professor Mrs. Rita Akosua-Dickson here today, who happens to be the first female Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Ayeko. The appointment of the University of Ghana first female Vice Chancellor, Professor Nana Abba Apia Amfo, and many others are also good examples of female leaders of institutions, which is equally worth celebrating. And if I might say so, I'm grateful for the opportunity granted me by His Excellency the President to be the first female Chief of Staff. Therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we can do it. It is doable. But let's all join hands together and collectively break the gender bias in Ghana. Long live the International Women's Day. Long live our homeland, Ghana. And I thank you sincerely for your attention. Thank you.
Another round of applause for the Chief of Staff. And a reminder that this is a special event to mark International Women's Day 2022 on the theme Break the Bias. Next is a poetry performance specially dedicated to International Women's Day. Please help me invite Menaye for this performance.
Okwan chari esuo yebisa se opanyin ne hwan omayimu ba panyin Your Excellency Emma mpanimfo ekunini ni enintini enimdifo Moi, mufi echichiri ne benche abetai ene dwumedie yase. Emma ene merima. Memamo atinase. As the writer who paints words on the pages of the souls of humanity, I bring you royal greetings from Odomankoma and Nananom. Mpenise asase tre Nansu nyame ono ni penini ye freni nyame efisi nya no a ne nyame anansi kokroko a onwe ni wiase ntentan no to ebibiman fapem se asase so aheman obo ade a obo odaseni na abra obo ade obo odaseni no odi biribi duane mu odi achede bi hye ne nsa odi asodie bi to ne so yengina to be the best versions of ourselves, to unleash our potentials, to make our being as an existence felt. And when Tim Penny say, so ba kwa woswa, onyoba, na oyo oba ba, anasa oba benyini, nyamie ni sono, obo nipa, ni subain so, and ni seso. For whatever reasons that led to the limitations and biases in the imbalance, that is not a matter of discussion today. And you have never chiri pusemwa kesiye, nimum ekonya yebefa sama obadie enumasem ayeho. Woman, I define her as the wonderful version of a man because she can be anything she can ever imagine with a good environment to grow and proper conditioning of the mind. So on this International Women's Day, I pose as a warrior to make a bold statement to the entire humanity that inside every woman is a strong desire, something so strong to be more. For indeed, truly, we are the warriors, fighting to ensure the sustainability of humanity and the entire creation. So let's not be broken by the biases in the system. Let us amass our forces, energies, and break any barrier limitations, preventing us from being more. Imagine a world with no biases. Imagine a world with no discrimination, a world in which everyone is allowed to be more. And this is not a one-woman fight. Neither is it an all-woman fight, but for everyone created in the likeness and image of Odumankuma, Obadie, the Creator. It was divine when Dr. Agri said, the education of a woman is equated to the education of an entire nation. Yentem haya yo a man penifo kukodrufwa, omaye bi ediache in chuma say ampa. If you educate a woman, you educate an entire nation. A man penifo mo konkoding, mamu mo piafo, moye bi. Strong women fighting to ensure the sustainability of humanity, for women to have smooth childbirth, strong women being support and great pillars for other women to lean on to ensure their survival, strong women sponsoring girl education, strong women being inspiration to the young and the old. Nana Hima, what to say? Ne wajina kenten so atu kocha man say to man moja hapitegu ohia. Mobro, any enkasha home so. Indeed, you all have shown us that we are the only ones who can and must break the bias. I look out for positive visibility of women. I hope you celebrate the achievements of the other women together. Let us all challenge the status quo. Let us all challenge the bias, the stereotypes, and break every gender discriminations, for we are the only ones who can and must break the bias. We are the only ones who can and must break the bias. We are the only ones who can and must break the bias. If we say abra or ba dear bo or dasenino or the baby duanimu or the achedi bishen and sa or the asudi betuana so me wo yengina, to be the best versions of ourselves, to make our beingness and existence felt, to unleash our potentials. Midi eni ni ane na ye, ukwada bakana ye demeto henkesi safo. I believe strongly that we can make this world a better place by breaking the bias. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minaye. That was powerful indeed. Let me remind us that the program is live on GTV, on Net2 TV, City TV, Multi TV. Now, I'm sure we've all heard, or most of us have heard about the great work of our dear First Lady through her foundation, the Rebecca Foundation. Our First Lady has inspired and awakened a potent force to change in many women and girls, not just by her work as First Lady, but you must agree with me, also by her steady and calm demeanor. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to join you to welcome Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. She is the person under whose office and patronage we have this platform today. Kindly, let's give it up for the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana.
Thank you. And good morning to everyone here. Her Excellency, Mrs. Samira Bawumia, Honorable Frimosa Opare, Chief of Staff at the Presidency, Lady Julia Osei Tutu, Honorable Simon Osei Mensah, Ashanti Regional Minister, Professor Rita Kusua Dixon, Vice Chancellor, KNUST, Nananum, Honorable Ministers and MPs, Honorable MCEs and DCEs, faculty members, panel members, students, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The movement for gender equality, inclusiveness, and removal of biases has been a long-standing struggle. Many have sacrificed prominence, time, resources, and even limb and life to get us to where we are today. History shows that we have indeed come a long way, yet a lot more needs to be done. It is true, we have made substantial progress when it comes to education. However, gender disparities still remain. Again, women's representation is still lagging in politics. Our Constitution guarantees gender equality. However, women still face inequalities directly and indirectly through stereotypes and social practices. Simply put, gender equality before the law still does not translate into reality. We know conflict affects women and children the most, and yet women are largely absent from the peace table. Studies, however, show there is a 35% greater chance of peace agreements lasting 15 years when women participate. So if women are integral to peace, why do we largely exclude them from peace negotiations? Women are still paid less than men for the same work, yet their contributions to society is enormous. African women form the majority of farmers, educationists, and healthcare providers. My generations and generations before me have put in their time to address these biases. I salute all those women and men who have worked for a world of parity. It is now time for my generation to pass on the baton to the younger generation. You are now the front line for advocating for a gender-equal world. We are behind you, supporting with our insights, resources, and years of experiences in the trenches. That is why this year we decided to have a much younger panel and audience for our International Women's Day discussions. As nature dictates, the old must always give way to the new. The Equality Front needs new blood, renewed energy, fresher perspective, and a new kind of hunger. The truth is some have fought to exhaustion, and some are no longer capable of the needed impatience or indignation at the obvious gender biases that still exist. But we have a generation that is presented with technology and the immense possibilities for intense activism. At the touch of a button, at the click of an icon, you have access to the world, including decision makers and a network of like-minded global citizens. This was something that was unimaginable decades ago. It's time for you to negotiate your way to equality and the removal of biases. I have no doubt about your ability and hunger to do so. Your voice is integral to who you are. How you use it is vital to your becoming the person you want to be. Use your voices to create the change you want. Imagine the world you want to see and create the world for yourselves and generations after you. Leave your footprints in the sands of time. When the time comes, hand over the baton. Your experiences, your defeats, your triumphs will inspire another generation. We will get there, but only if we all work together. Because one thing is clear, bias is not normal. It is the antithesis of development. No amount of explanations, apologies, or excuses can make it right. Your talent, intelligence, drive, ingenuity, and determination qualify you for a place at the table. Your field of endeavor does not matter. What matters is that no one should stop you. As the American civil rights activist Philip Randolph puts it, freedom is never granted, it is won. I wish all of us fruitful deliberations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam First Lady, Your Excellency, Mrs. Rebecca Ekufuado. Please let the applause be louder. Today, we have put together a very special video to tell our story as women, and would like to have a look at that video and pick a few lessons and points from the video. If the video is ready, can we kindly have it played? Thank you very much. May I acknowledge the presence of Nana Hima, Paramount Queen Mother from Agogo traditional area. Please, a round of applause for Nana Hima. Thank you, Ma, for coming.
Makes you treat someone differently, unfairly, based on certain prejudices that one may have.
Gender bias is a situation where one is given unfair treatment because of one's gender. Mostly women are the victims in our society.
Let a man do it. This role is for men.
I recall right from the beginning, those who really do not know my background were wondering, why a woman for this male position? Because that's what the country has witnessed all over.
I need a man for this. Where are the men? It's a man's world. You're not fit for this position.
It's the way people even talk to male-dominated field. They kind of brush off your suggestions. I've encountered people who say they won't vote just because I'm a woman. They feel maybe a man should be the president.
You're very difficult. Get emotional.
People kept on telling me that I can't pursue a degree. I am engineering is difficult, and as a woman, I should take up an administrative post.
He will lead the negotiations. You're too ambitious.
Another thing is a woman that is too ambitious and I remember quite clearly when I had to attend a meeting as a director and principal engineer of my company. I got to meet my when I sat down, the chairperson entered me immediately looked at me and asked why the company has sent a secretary. One of the stories I heard that was fascinating
that when it comes to issues of politics, women don't speak as much, or women cannot speak as much on it.
I have older brothers who have been able to leave home and live on their own, because obviously they've reached ages where they should be living on their own. But in my case and my other sister's case, we have actually been asked to stay home until we are actually married.
I'm an avid motorcyclist. I ride a Harley Davidson. There's a certain sense that if you are a female riding, there are certain things that are associated with who you are. And these are general biases that a lot of women hear or have to endure when they need to live their best life.
I just have one question. Why have women been branded as the only people who can take up administrative roles?
There are undertones. It might not be as glaring as before because the fight for gender parity is more than before. We have so many days commemorating, like International Women's Day. So it's not as loud as it used to be, gender bias, but it's still there.
Either your family is asking, oh, you're hitting 30, you should be getting married, or why are you not dating, or why are you too focused on your work?
Through all the storms, I'm by your side.
I think that we have come a long way over the decades. The very fact that now, if I take my institution as an example, we have our first female chancellor, we have our first female council chair, we have our first female vice chancellor, we have a female registrar, and a host of other senior officers who are female.
The change is not happening as fast as we hope it to be. But I think conversations like this will push the change that we need.
We also need to get back to the drawing table. We are shouting from the top of our voices, International Women's Day, women should be empowered, but we should always look back, see how far we've come.
I think a Ghanaian society must recognize is the free SHS. Every research in the past indicated that financing education was the barrier for female progress beyond the JHS.
I remember the situation where at the basic school level you have the senior prefect being a boy. No, that shouldn't happen. We need to provide the level playing field for both girls and boys to compete, and we get the very best.
We also realize that the stakeholders do understand that it's important to have women at the forefront of all kinds of, or at the table of all kinds of business and all kinds of activities. The challenge is actually getting the work done.
The First Lady, Her Excellency Mrs. Rebecca Ekufu-Addo, launched an initiative through her foundation, the Because I Want to Be initiative. This is poised on encouraging young girls who are underprivileged to maximize the full extent of their potentials.
We shouldn't forget about the fact that performance actually is a function of ability, opportunity, or motivation. In spite of the fact that some women have great abilities, however, they cannot perform because we don't give them the equal or the needed opportunities. And even if they are performing, they cannot upskill their performances because we do not motivate them.
I think consciously, women in positions such as I have should make an effort to do more, such that it will encourage the younger ones to feel I can aspire to be that. I can do it if Frema has done it.
We talk about women empowerment, which is important, but when we empower them from when they are very young, it makes the work easier. When somebody grows and you're now trying to let them understand women empowerment, what it means, and how women should empower other women, if you haven't been brought up like that, with that understanding, you can hear people say it, but it's not a part of you, it's not a part of your fabric.
The other thing is also not to be afraid to compete. When there is an opportunity for promotions, there's always the perception, if they may not give it to me. But I've seen men who, even though they don't even have the basic qualification to assess that position, they will still put their names forward. And so should the women. Put your name forward. If you are not considered today, you'll be considered tomorrow.
We, the men, should help contribute to helping women to offer or contribute their quota to developing our society.
I'm excited for the future of the girl child. I'm excited about how much potential and how much they can do, because there's nothing that they cannot do.
So to the girl child, you are amazing, you're beautiful, and there's so much out there for you.
You are good enough. You're more than capable for any position or job. You were born to lead. You belong at the top. It's okay to be ambitious. You're very competent. You're fit for this position. You will lead the negotiations. You deserve to be respected too.
Break the bias.
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 Together, let us break the bias.
Through all the storms, I'm by your side.
Break the bias.
Break the bias.
Together, let us break the bias.
Through all the storms, I'm by your side.
And the message from the video is clear. The time to act is now. And we need an all hands on deck approach to break the bias. Give me a round of applause if you believe this is so and if you are committed to doing that. We'd like to at this point also acknowledge the presence of the paramount Queen Mother of Agogo, Nana Afrakoma Sewa Kusi Obuado. Thank you for coming.
We also have in our midst the Queen Mother of Denyase traditional area, Nana Educhumwa Bonin III. The Queen Mother, Paramount Queen Mother of Tepa, Nana Ejewa Pemu II is also here. A round of applause for Nana Punama Dampong, Emprinso Paramount Queen Mother. Thank you very much for attending to us this day. Now we are breaking the bias. Shall we all see? We are breaking the bias indeed.
So we've heard the phrase break the bias so many times this morning, and I'm sure some of you have a lot of questions. So what are these biases? Why are they so ingrained in the Ghanaian society? Well, this part of the program seeks to contextualize, simplify, and analyze the phenomenon of gender bias in Ghana. They say that awareness of the problem is a first step to change. So how do we develop a better sense of awareness so we're able to call out these biases when we encounter them? That is what the panel discussion will be about. And I'm excited to tell you that our panelists are drawn from diverse backgrounds and they come with lived experiences that will enrich this conversation. So let's meet our panelists. Lamnatu Adam is a development practitioner with over 20 years experience in gender and human rights activism. She holds an MSc in local economic development and is executive director at Songtaba. Please help me welcome Lamnatu Adam. Our next panelist is an assistant lecturer at the Department of Statistics and Actuarial Science at the KNUST. Her aim is to inspire young women to enter careers in the captivating field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. A round of applause for Sandra Adehene. Amtu Amayao Ikumfi is a student leader and an advocate for underprivileged people and the inclusion of youth, women, and children. Amtu holds a degree in political science and French, and she is a professional makeup artist. Please help me welcome Amtu Amayao Ikumfi.
On the panel today, we also have Mami Ya Echa Mensa Bonsu. Mami Ya is a lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law and a senior associate at Eshong Benjamin and Associates. Her research interests lie in the area of gender rights, disability rights, and the intersection of gender, disability, and law. Shall we welcome upstage Mami Ya Echa Mensa Bonsu. Let's also welcome the Honorable Abina Osei Asari. She is the Member of Parliament for Itiwa East constituency. She is a chartered accountant by profession and the Deputy Finance Minister in charge of revenue of the Republic of Ghana, and a strong advocate for improving systems and processes to facilitate productivity. Let's welcome Honorable Abina Osei Asari to the stage. Thank you very much, ladies. So we are going to have our panel discussion, and we are going to set the ball rolling with Amtu. Amtu, as you've heard, is a student leader, and she has her own experiences. She has witnessed other people's experiences, and she is going to share them with us today. Amtu, I would like to ask you, you are in student politics, so we know that politics, the political climate in Ghana is not exactly favorable for women. Is it the same in student politics or worse, even with the expectation of women having to vie for women-inclined positions? How is the climate like in student politics?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for the opportunity, the First Lady and all the other distinguished guests here. So, as you rightly said, in a space like mainstream politics, it's unfortunate that we don't have like a very conducive climate for women. And it's not so, yes, it's very similar, and it's unfortunately it's more petty, I believe, from my experiences. It's more petty in student politics than in mainstream politics, because a lot of the time you have like people that have like more experiences, so they are able to endure. But for students politics, it's very, very bad. People go as far as speaking about petty things like what your dress looks like, who you are speaking to, and things like that. So it's very petty, and it's the same as mainstream politics.
Thank you for sharing, Amtu. What is it navigating the hostile environment as a female politician at the national level?
Thank you very much. I want to stand on existing protocols and thank the First Lady and the organizers of this program, and also for giving me the opportunity to express my views concerning this. I can't agree with Amtu more. It's like that in the world, that in that space you have to fight to be heard. And your fight is not just a simple fight. You have to go beyond the normal as a female politician to enable your voice to be heard. And at that time, they said, what is it that you can do, you think you can do, that the men haven't done or the men are not doing? One, you are too young, and two, you are female. Unfortunately for me, in 2010, I lost that primaries, but I persevered, and I had the support system. So And that alone gave me that confidence that whatever I decide to do, irrespective of my age and my gender, I will be able to achieve that. So in 2012, the constituency was split into two. I contested again with 3 other men, and I was successful. So I would say that it's all about the perseverance and the family support, because you need that to give you that confidence. And beyond that, we expect Society Science Department decided to have an assessment on members of parliament. I was I placed 4th out of the 275 MPs that were assessed. And in terms of the female, I came first. So there is nothing that you can't do when you set out to do it. But we need to create that system, that support that will help the ladies as well as give them that confidence.
Move on to Sandra. She is into STEM. So I would like to ask you, what are the biases that we need to break in the education sector, especially with the education of women and girls, with the course of study and even the career path that they want to choose? Are there biases that you have identified in this regard that need to be broken?
Thank you very much, Regina. I'm very glad to be here this morning for this court subject, and I do not have to do it. So I have to go for courses that are a little bit softer and okay for women to do. When I was in primary school, I was very good at math, and that is what I wanted to do. My family members and a couple of people around me told me that, you know what, there are not a lot of females in the mathematics field. Have you ever heard of people or females who are into physics, chemistry? Along the line, it's actually, I actually wanted to leave the field and do something more softer as society deemed me to be. But I went ahead to do general science, and during the SS level 2, I was told to choose other subjects that would help me to come back to the house early and take care of the children. But I actually forged ahead to do what we want. And there are lots of biases when you come to these fields of mathematics, because we have the perceived idea that male students are better than female students when it comes to the STEM subjects like the sciences, technology, the engineering, and the mathematics sciences. I have also had issues with the fact that I went for an interview about 3 years ago to be a female teacher in a private school. And when I was there, has me being married or have kids has anything to do with me being a mathematics teacher? And there's a possibility that one day you'll be in school and you'll be called that you have to come home and take care of your children. There is a possibility that you will get pregnant and wouldn't be able to come to school and teach the kids. So the fact that at that particular break, they would have to employ another person to come and take your position as a mathematics teacher in that field. And frankly speaking, it was very hurtful when I got home. I didn't get to take up the job because they had that policy that within the 2 years that you get the job, you do not have to get pregnant. And that was a very serious issue for me. And I think that that was one of the biases that I had issues with. And there's one last thing that I want to talk about too, is that I have been scouting around for accommodation for a while now. And then I chanced on one that I really liked. So I went into this woman's house to talk to her, a woman. We are looking for somebody who can clean and keep the house neat for us. So in this, I know my room and my place that when I get into somebody's space or even in my own space, I'm supposed to clean it up. But because she said it out loud that she needed somebody like that, it has become more of the responsibility of the woman to clean the house. So I still have the perception that people take care, the mothers, but we are not actually encouraged enough to do or probably study courses that are more masculine, hard, courses that are very difficult as we think. like they feel like we are very vulnerable and soft. There are a lot of examples out here.
We will hear more of these examples from your field of study. Let's come to Lamnatu Ajam. You're on the ground, on the field. You are executive director at Somtaba. You work up north. Share with us the dynamics of gender bias in your field of work. How devastating is it?
Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate the First Lady and the office for having me to be part of this. Gender bias is quite intense if you're working closely with people in our communities. From where I am coming from, we have issues of male dominance and patriarchy. And let me say that some of the bias that women, and for that matter girls, go through are quite systemic to so many alleged witches' camps. And I keep asking, why is it that out of whatever numbers of women or people that are accused, we have as much as 98% of them being women? And why are they aged? And I ask again, what is it that when it comes to women, the belief is that he is using his power to guard the society, to protect the home? I think that's a serious bias that we need to call out. And to say that women are afraid of getting old in our communities. I'm happy we have our First Lady here, and I think that that's a serious issue that we need to deal with. Nonetheless, why are women always seen to be at the back? Or because we are told to be submissive? All the brothers. In our families, they say, we should wait for the man before we make the decision. Even as old as we are, but the younger man or boy is the one to make the decision. All of this is a serious bias. And I want to say that it's about time that women took a housewife. She's not doing anything, but she cleans the house. She nurtures the children. She does all of that, that money may not be able to pay. How much does it cost for those of us that travel to have your shirt washed in our hotels? Yet the woman does everything, and she's still referred to not doing anything. And you know, if she's not able to have time for herself, then she cannot contribute even to decision making. And all of the thinking that she cannot do wants to go further, then they say that she's actually or probably a witch, or she's a prostitute, especially if she's in a male-dominated position as we see in our parliamentary and district level elections. And so women are doing so much, and it's good that society first recognize that the role that women are playing is very important, so that they can help us to reduce the workload of women and girls and redistribute the gender roles that is further, strengthen the gaps between men and women. Yes, that we should also urge our political leaders to get committed in passing the affirmative action bill. Thank you.
It's interesting that Lamnatu has mentioned the affirmative action bill. It's one of the oldest bills, and a lot of activists are looking for the day or waiting for the day when they would hear that it has been passed into law. But let me come to the affirmative action bill. Does the law in and of itself guarantee an end to discrimination, bias, and stereotyping?
Thank you for the question, and thank you, First Lady and her office for the invitation. I was very surprised to be called. So to answer your question, I don't think itself sometimes can create problems. And I'll give you a most recent example, the Land Act 2020. In Section 47, it restricts transactions involving land by spouses and says you cannot transact, even lease, mortgage, property that was acquired during marriage without the written consent of your spouse, in the absence of a prior written agreement. Now, how many spouses are there in be writing contracts? I will not sell without your knowledge. I will not. And so, in trying to, I suppose, sometimes when we take steps in the law to protect land, and for some people, they have to hide these things from their men because their men don't want them to be empowered. So now you've taken an avenue away from a certain group of women who needed that channel to protect themselves. So the law can sometimes create problems. Now, if you go to the affirmative action bill, I always say that affirmative action is like a double-edged sword. It cuts right because it puts women where women must be. We have to have representation. It is important. Seeing women actually work their way to the top is important. But it can also be a negative. It can also cut negatively in the sense that it can create the impression that women need extra support to get there. Otherwise, we couldn't have gotten there without that help. So when you say something like, and typically who must be a woman, one of whom must be a woman. So you are legislating the position. So there's always going to be a woman. But very often you'll find it will be one woman because that's the one that the law says. So the minimum is met. Or you'll find that there will be a woman who is not competent only because the law says find a woman, so they'll find a woman. As to whether the woman is competent is a different matter. So it is possible, we gave the women a chance, they didn't do anything. It is possible to manipulate the system even with affirmative action. Or, and as I was explaining in other areas, the problem is not so much affirmative action as sometimes the higher up you go, the fewer women you will meet. So where are the women to put there? So affirmative action is top-down and is brilliant. It has to be done. But the greater work, I think, comes from the society, the sociocultural space, the bottom-up. Fill those spaces this way, and then you can put affirmative action on top.
I will put the next question to Honorable Abina Ose Asari. I would like to ask a very simple question. Where do we find the balance between affirmative action and tokenism so that we are able to maintain a certain standard even for women who are looking to be appointed into positions?
Sometimes in all these biases, they never talk about competence. So that is not even something that is on the table. They don't talk about competence at all. It's just the gender issue. And so if we go beyond that and start looking at competence, irrespective of the gender decisions, and then feel, the big sports that we have. So the discussion should be more about competence. And in asking for competence, we have a lot of women here as examples. Our first lady, our second lady, Lady Julia, our president, and the second term as well. It's never happened. So in terms of competence, it is there. I believe that the affirmative action bill is one of the systems, or the biases are so endemic such that if you don't work on them, the affirmative action bill alone cannot solve the problem. We know women, by our biological nature, we are supposed to procreate and give birth to children. Yet in the office setting, when someone sees a woman pregnant, those things, they end up being at home and then they lose their jobs in the end. And then for those of us who are able to do the 9 months and then we do our 3 months of maternity leave, getting back into to the work or the agency or the organization is one of the most difficult things for women. Because sometimes if it's in the man's world, you are left behind. Trying to reintegrate back into your office space is not easy. So I believe that apart from back to office after the woman has given birth, you look at a whole institution like Parliament. Consistently, for the female MPs, if you have children and you are supposed to take part in parliamentary duties, you have to leave the child at home and come. But in this, we should take it up and make sure that we give access to female parliamentarians online to enable them discharge their duties when they have to take care of children. I remember in 2 terms ago, I had my last child in Parliament, and then I was on the Public Accounts Committee. We were traveling from my son to come out well. And so everywhere we went, I had to carry this boy along with me. And I was at the mercy of people to prepare his porridge, his food for me. And that is difficult for most women. Some are not able to go that line, and then they end up leaving the job space. That's how come we don't have enough informal space. But we want to see more of our women in the formal space. So that is why I'm asking that we should put systems in place to support our women to also push hard and get to the various positions that we feel they are capable of filling. So I believe that it's not just the affirmative support our women in this regard.
You've talked about the world of work in your submission, and I'm going to Sandra now. You talked about the world of work in your submission. Sandra, you work in a field that's male-dominated. You shared your experience, how people were discouraging you from going on that tangent. Has there been any movement of work so that you are respected and taken seriously by your male colleagues?
Thank you very much. Yes, there have been a couple of times that I have had these issues of proving myself over and over again that I can do something that a male can also do. Because the field that I'm in is more of a male-dominated field. That's mostly what they say is, obapa na oye mathematics-related subjects. Sometimes if you are somebody who cannot take these kind of things as a compliment, it becomes a bit of a problem, and you may decide to even opt out at all. Quite recently, about a few years ago, I had to do came in to do her presentation with her team. So when we got into the hall, we were told to do the presentation, but the master of the house asked me, who is going to do the presentation today? I said, I am. He said, no, you have to call the male to come in to do it because the lady that came before you didn't do a good job. So my presentation was based on somebody else's presentation she had already done and left. And the point is that I really wanted to stop the whole program and go home because I was really hurt. But there was a male that was with me. Prove to them that you are a female and you can do as much as the male also can do. So this is one of the challenges that I have faced. I have to prove myself over and over and over again that I can do it. I belong in the mathematical sciences. There have been people there who have proved themselves, and I think that I can also prove myself.
Thank you, Sandra. This is as biased, even as women. For example, if you have a boss and you are going for a presentation, they could easily tell you, dress this way, show a little cleavage, and we don't even see anything wrong with that. What is your position on sexism as a student politician? How does that come into play during, the campaigns?
So, as you rightly said, these are things that don't just different examples. Even, for example, let's say local SRCs, when there's a sponsorship committee, you see that when you go out for the event, the president or the secretary, your male counterpart are, or you take the lead so that supposedly the man is attracted. Even have some male politicians or big men say to you that, if you want to get to me, use the women to get to me. It's very, very petty, and they might be telling you the truth, but I mean, so if you reduce, you are not asking me to write to you because you feel that I am the competent person or I have the information that you need. You are only asking me to write to you because you supposedly want to just reduce me to the position of, it's a woman, it's how your body looks, it's who I want to speak to. And unfortunately, it exists a lot in politics. And like lawyer rightly said, it shouldn't just be bottom up. It should be it shouldn't be top to the bottom. It should be from bottom up, because I feel that the social construct has made our minds like that. In as much as we are trying to take responsibility for our actions as women, I feel that every single time we are reminded of this is what you are supposed to do. So before Me Too action, you have someone come to work and say, oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my husband. Did I tell you I want to be your girlfriend or your wife or something? I probably have someone like that who might not be happy hearing you say things like that. It's very petty to the men that do that, but for us as women, I don't think anyone is comfortable with it. And I've engaged with some members of parliament and things like that, and even on their level, they experience it. And then they say that no matter how much you try to emphasize that, I do not want it, you have another man coming to say, hey, wait, yes, I not you, or she would shout on you and things like that. And I don't think it's right. Also, I think it's because we don't talk about it as much, that we are not comfortable. We don't want it to be done. For the student politics space, people go as far as if you don't go and sleep with this particular senior or how they even call them, kingmaker, or move to this kingmaker, you are not going to make it, and things like that. For me, running for a female position, it was even worse, because they feel that because they are running for women's commissioner and probably your opponent has done it or your predecessor has done it, so you have to also do same, otherwise it's not going to happen for you. And it's very, very, very stressful. I don't know, I just have, running for this particular position, I encountered so much, and I felt that it pushed me to want to do more. Someone saying that it's just women's commission you're going for, and you're branding yourself like this. It's just women's commission you're going for, and you're investing so much in your flyers. So because I'm running for women's commission, I do not deserve to give my best. Nobody, like we have presidential debates for people that are running for presidential debates. Nobody's thinking of having presidential debates for people that are running for secretaries. I'm saying secretary because it's a position that a lot of the time women run for. But then the conversation about secretary is, oh, does she have a nice body? Is her skin nice? Does she speak very good English? Nobody is asking, is she really, really competent to do like the actual writing, to do the actual conversations and things? I don't know, but it's extremely painful. And I'm honored to be here, like, sharing my opinions, because I certainly believe that if we continue the conversation, it means that we are identifying the problem, and then we can move ahead and find solutions to it.
Okay. We can have to stem the tide in this all-important conversation. Let me start with you, Mami. You're talking from a legal perspective, the need for laws to be there, but also so these laws do not necessarily entrench the very problems we're trying to solve. What solutions would you prescribe for us to be able to deal with gender biases and then make inroads in our quest for gender equality?
I'll take it from the point of disability and law, because those are my research interests. In certain spaces, the problem is not with the written law, it's in how the law takes effect. So we'll find that sometimes the biases are not male, female type of biases, but even